On today's show, we talked to my friend Ashton Gustafson. We talked about sphere marketing, we talked about sustainability, and we talked about his and my special relationship.
You ready to roll?
Yeah, are you ready, Ashton?
Go.
Okay, we should have received a script from our last interview. We're just going to read it word for word for the next 30 minutes. I'm just joking.
Is the Boom
Oh,
Real
yeah,
Estate
stretch it out.
Podcast.
Hey-oh.
The podcast that shows you how to build an amazing business so you can build an amazing life.
Oh, the
Boom Real
stretching
Estate
feels so
Podcast
good. It makes me think I should
starts
stretch more in
now.
my regular life. It does feel good. Oh,
do this more.
we should stretch more
Just
often.
stretch more often.
I agree.
No.
Nope, that's not anything.
Oh no, I'm not sure
Todd's
what
trying.
that is.
Todd's creating yoga poses in
He
his.
said yoga.
Yeah, you can't just like freeze and say yoga, and that's you're doing a yoga
Standing
pose. That's not
you make.
anything.
Yoga.
That's nothing.
People are missing out.
Oh boy, but that
that's
stretch
awesome.
felt good. We always
Yeah.
stretch and move around a little to start the big show, and it felt really nice just now. It always does, and I think I need to stretch more in my life.
I decided in my head that I was going to create my own version of yoga.
Yes.
It was going to be Todd's yoga or toga, and then I realized that didn't work. Dang it.
I feel like
You
you
could
just.
wear
It's already been
togas.
taken.
I feel like you just now made that up. Although, because I know you, I think maybe you really have had this thought before.
You
It's an
could
original.
wear a
It's an
toga
original.
while you did it.
He's a purebred entrepreneur right there. Well, that's good stuff. Well,
You could call it
welcome.
yod. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yod.
It's such a great idea.
Yod. That's not good either. Welcome to the big show, everybody. I am Terry. That is Todd to my left.
Toga.
And that is producer Christian now returning to his seat across the table. Hello, my friend.
Toga.
You
Hey.
just gave thumbs up on the audio podcast. Those
Hey,
people
how's it going,
didn't.
everybody?
Okay.
Hey, this is
I
producer
like
Christian
your shirt.
here.
It's a good shirt.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. And Megan, hello.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hoots to you. How are you?
Great.
How's
Hoots
your
to
life?
you, Terry.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Pleasant. And you look great in purple. Terry's wearing purple today. And you look great in that blah gray over
All
there.
right,
Toga.
that's enough of you two. That's enough of that. Okay.
I'm just
Might
a
need to take
cloudy
the
sky
reins,
over here.
Terry.
Ashton, did you loosen up? Did you limber up? Did you stretch it out before we got started?
Loose.
He's loose.
Ashton's got a
Loose.
nice shirt on.
He's got the nice. Yeah, he's actually dressed
does.
appropriately
He-
for
yeah,
for
yep.
for a business conversation. I like that
You know.
about him.
Strong work.
Fancy podcast.
Although
That's
yeah,
what
right.
we're known as,
Yeah.
the fancy podcast.
Oh, great! I got to do the fancy podcast. we did say we have made a rule about you do have to wear a shirt on the
Yes,
podcast.
correct.
That's
We
Both
had
tops
to make
and
that
bottoms.
we did when
Yeah.
we were an audio podcast. It was whatever you want. Now, yeah, it's now that we're a video podcast, the people have spoken and they prefer us to keep our shirts on.
That's right.
Yep.
So that's fine. We could do that. Okay.
I'm looking at you, Todd.
We want to hear from you. Email info at
Toga.
boomrealestatepodcast.com and visit the YouTube, and you can verify that we are all wearing shirts and that Ashton's is the nicest of the shirts
Yes.
on the show today.
off.
So good stuff. Okay, Ashton is with us, everybody.
Uh-oh.
Yay.
This is the take two. I'm gonna pull back the
Gonna let
curtain a
it-
little
you're
bit
gonna
and
let
just say,
everybody
yeah,
know
we did a whole
the secret?
brilliant episode with Ashton. I don't know, like 2 or 3 months ago, but we had all kinds of technical problems. So
It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
It was one technical problem.
we had one technical
Christian
problem.
forgot to hit record.
No, that wasn't it.
That was not it.
No, we had issues on it, and Ashton, from the kindness of his heart, said, "Hey, we can re-record it.
Yeah,
That's
nice.
okay,
Gave
man."
us a
Yeah.
second
So he
chance.
is wasting a
Good.
second hour of his life here with us, unfortunately for him, but we appreciate it. And let me break down Ashton for you. What we've done too is we're going to literally read the exact words that we said on the last podcast. That would have been really funny if we had like the transcript and we all just read it. I think that would have been fun. Okay, Ashton Gustafson. He is an unbelievable, stellar real estate agent. He is in Waco and Wichita Falls, both. He's in both. 2 places at once. God bless him. His podcast, Good, True, and Beautiful, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can see he's got the logo right over his right shoulder, and that looks smooth. That looks good.
Looks good.
The it's Good, True, and Beautiful, and it's. I asked him when we first met. He said, "I have a podcast." I said, "Is it about real estate?" And he just looks at me. He's like, "No." Like, no, it's not. So the whole idea there is thought leaders, visionaries from around the world. They come on the show. He gets unbelievable people, like big name people that you know in all these different walks of life, and they come on and they share their insights about making the world a better place, about things that are good and true and beautiful.
Nice.
It's a great podcast, so we recommend that. He's a highly sought after speaker. He's a nationally recognized realtor, artist, musician, poet.
Oh,
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh.
Ashton Gustafson, everybody!
I'm so surprised.
Oh my goodness, he does so many
I need a
things.
new bio.
No.
Love it. Keep
Well,
it.
I pieced that together just from things. I didn't even talk about the coaching.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk about the Muse seminars.
You didn't talk about being world ranked in backgammon.
I didn't talk about the backgammon. There's so much to get to.
What do you say?
That makes me look at my bio and want to punch my bio in the face. All the things that Ashton does, right? It's that good, man. Dude, so you're a busy guy. How are things going?
Things are good. You know, we've, as you and I were chatting before the call, just kind of getting things figured out, operating in a couple places. And it's been a busy summer. Things are happening. And so just the day in the life of a real estate agent.
Love it, love it. So Ashton and I are in a very special relationship. I said that weirdly on purpose just because I thought it'd be funny. But no, Ashton has been coaching me since like the fall of last year or so. So coming up on a year or so. And I really think of talking to Ashton like it's literally like therapy. It's really good. It's just really helpful. So we talk real estate business stuff too, but then we dive into just like the person you are and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he's been really super helpful on that. And like real estate, things can escalate and you can get stressed out. We'll talk about all that stuff in
Yeah.
the show today too. But like it's been really helpful for me to not only build my business, but just like relax a little more and settle in and find a good rhythm and things like that. So anyway, so I'm biased
Love
as
it.
far as our guest today. I think he's the man. So
I think
good
he's
stuff.
all right.
Yeah, Todd is not so sure. So you got a little
Jury
time.
is out.
I'm a fan.
Verdict's out.
That's right. But the place that you and I started, Ashton, talking was just like my time, because in the fall of last year, I was so busy. My time was out of control. I wasn't managing it well. And that was like kind of the first place that you and I dug in. So I would love to start there just now on the show, and just kind of how you think about how to handle your time as a busy real estate person who's also a father or mother or a husband or wife or things like that. How do you think about that?
Yeah, you know, I had this chat with someone last week, and it's funny, the paradox of building your business and then shifting into a business that's sustainable, predictable, and all those words that you and I use all the time. Because when you begin in the business, it's yes to everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Yes to go shadow someone. Yes to go to that listing. Yes to a listing that you probably shouldn't take. Yes to someone wanting to lease something. Yeah. You say yes to everything because you kind of don't really have any other option. And all of us then hit this crossroads where you've said yes to everything. You've built this business, and oh, by the way, now you're a little bit miserable. And so you have to have this shift happens once you build a business where things are a little more consistent. Probably years 3 to 5 is where this conversation typically happens with most people that I coach. And then the conversation becomes, how often are you saying no? How often are you saying no to everything instead of saying yes to everything? And so I think that somewhere not long ago, and you've probably heard me say this before, that yes will make your life, but no will save your life. And I think that when you talk about building businesses that are predictable, sustainable, and profitable, the word that people forget most of the time, the word that's going to free you once you've hit that place of your business has grown and it is a little bit predictable, the word that's going to save you is no.
Yeah.
And you've got to get really clear on what you have to say yes, what you should say yes to, what you should say no to. I think essentialism, you and I have talked about that book before. Every yes leads to 99 no's. I mean, how often have I said yes to this party, this moment, this person, this lunch, this whatever, and it leads into 99 other things that kind of got stymied that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so, I think the conversation that I have with most people is, do you know the magic metrics for your business? Or do you have clarity on the fuel that makes the engine work on your business? And you and I know that for most of us, that's going to be heavy on relationships. And so Are you tastefully weaving your story in and out of other people's stories so that when the time comes for them to participate in the marketplace, it's you they think of? And that's basically all I teach.
Yeah.
That was a great sentence. That last
Oh, yeah.
sentence, the weaving and the relationships when
Yeah.
they need you, there's so much jam-packed into that one sentence. But that's so important. I would say right now, talking to an agent, especially newer agents, but even experienced agents, that's like the number one thing that comes out is being so busy and the burnout and that anxiety that comes with it. And even I think sometimes you get in that trap and spiral of you're feeling so busy, but when you look at it, it's like smoke and mirrors because you're saying yes to so much stuff that's not necessarily important to what you need to be doing. So you feel like you're doing the right things and you're really making missteps that are then adding to the fire of your stress and that feeling. Yep.
Absolutely. And you think that when you begin in the business, everything kind of does matter equally. Mm-hmm. You do have to chase it's all about activity. It's about learning the market. It's about putting yourself in new situations to learn from.
Yeah.
But when you really talk about getting the business to be sustainable, which I think is a huge word that no one talks about, predictable, you then realize that everything doesn't matter equally. And there's probably few things every single day that are just non-negotiables and mandatory. And if you do those things each day, then you'll be shocked at how life brings you opportunities, that relationships lead to transactions. And I always tell everyone, one of these days you're going to leave the business and you're not going to take your open house sign writers with you, but you will take relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's those very things that are actually the lifeblood to your business. And so if you'll allow it to be this beautiful 2-in-1 gift, it's a thrill. The problem is there's billions of dollars spent towards us to convince us that it's something else, that there's another tech tool, there's another pay-per-click campaign, there's another boost post thing, all of which are good and all of which I do. However, you just have to know that relationship trumps all of that. And people wonder why Joe Dirt with a mullet does so many transactions in your market, and that's because Joe Dirt with a mullet has a lot of friends, and he's relationally connected, and they trust him. And so if you're frustrated in your business, my question for you is, how are you sowing seeds of trust? Are you showing up in a tasteful way with relevant information to people, so you're not showing up as spam, and you're just kind of dropping these little seeds of contribution and trust? And if you're playing the long game, you'll be all right. If you're playing the 30-day game, the 6-month game, what I'm talking about is going to frustrate you.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you'll play the long game, it's a pretty beautiful ride.
So I guess if you don't mind, if we go a little bit deeper on that. So obviously we're talking about sphere marketing, and there's a bunch of different ways to get leads these days. You can buy them, and like you said, there's a bunch of social media, all the fun stuff. But going down to sphere marketing, what do you think it is that some people like? What is there anything? Is there a I don't know what I'm trying to think of, like the golden goose, not the golden goose. Like, what is it that agents are forgetting about? I forget sometimes that certain agents don't even understand that you can do sphere marketing to get leads. Like, you don't have to buy leads. You can just work your friends and family. But what is it that agents today need to be doing more of, or maybe are just forgetting about as all they hear about is buy leads, buy leads, buy leads? Where should they really be focusing? And I know we're talking sphere marketing, but like, where in sphere marketing can they really focus on?
Well, I think the biggest idea to hold on to when you're talking about sphere marketing is that people would rather have a friend than a realtor. And that is a quantum shift in how you look at your business. So right there, I happen to be a real estate agent. If I just show up and talk realtor speak to you all of the time, that's probably going to be pretty annoying. Imagine any stockbroker that was like, hey, I think Amazon's going to hit 2,000 a share. And that's just all he tells you all the time.
Right.
He's like, hey, it hit 2,200 a share. We should sell now.
Yeah.
Like, no, you tastefully weave your story in and out of their story. Sometimes it's, hey, checking on you. Sometimes it's, hey, I noticed your house looks amazing. I don't know. Sometimes it's, hey, I'm doing a random analysis of the area that you live in and thought you may be interested in what homes have been selling for. You have to know your flow. You have to know what's authentic to you. And the more you can do that, if you have daily accountability systems set up to do that, like for me, I try to make between 30 and 60 relational contacts a day. And that looks a lot of different ways. Yeah. I mean, those are text messages, that's reading the paper, congratulating some guy on his son that got a scholarship to wherever. Like, I just want to, I want to occupy that space and be the friend that eventually gets to be the realtor, rather than being the realtor that, maybe you'll be the friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
And so I don't know if I answered that right.
Yeah, no. And you actually said something that just like really rang true to my core, which is really funny. You were talking about tastefully weaving your story or your, the sales side into the other stories or your client stories. But I had always, like, we teach our agents, and I had always, like, to this point, I had always said, like, so you got to work in, like, you don't always want to be really salesy. So you got to work in like work in that you're a real estate agent, but make sure that they don't know you're working it in. Be sly with it and stuff like that. And I never realized, like, how dirty even my teachings are. It doesn't need to be sly. It doesn't need to be salesy. Like, when you just said tasteful, like, it's the same thing I'm saying, but it's a different mindset. And that, like, so you just struck gold. Thanks.
It's good.
Well, I mean, like, I happen to be a real estate agent. Yeah. If they read that at my eulogy, we've got a freaking problem. and so, like, and so I think that who said people don't do business with you because of what you do? They do business with you because of why you do it. Simon Sinek. Yeah. Start with why. People don't do business with you because of what you do. They do business with you because of why you do it. And so you don't buy an Apple computer because you need a computer with Safari. You typically purchase an Apple product because you believe in beautiful design, you believe that art wins, you believe in challenging the status quo. And when you happen to need a computer, they are who you think of. Yeah. I almost sometimes think it's like so simple when I sit here and have these conversations, but I really believe that this is, if you're listening to this conversation, don't take 10 years in the business to get this. Yeah. Yeah. Like, because you can spend a lot of money getting leads. I have, and I do, but every year I go back and I look at it. Somewhere between 15 and 20% of my business is coming from those leads I'm buying, and 70 to 80% of my business is coming from the people that, you've done business with before, you've crossed paths in some way, and the key point is trust. Yeah. And if you are buying leads, then the conversation is, how fast can I leave being a stranger that feels like he's selling something into being a friend that's really just trying to, be a guide along the way.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Good stuff. That's the way where you can be running your business and not feel like you're having to be a salesperson. Like, you can literally run your business in this way where you're actually just being a good friend to people, and then have that do, like what he talked about, the double win of where, like, then you get the business, your business grows, and it's because you're being a good person to other people. Like, that's the best way to grow your business, So I love that. I love that. So one of the things you mentioned, Ashton, too, earlier, and you said that is a word that we're not hearing enough of or talking about enough, and that's sustainable. What, in your mind, how do you think about running a sustainable business? Is that like an hours per day thing? Is it I only work this much per week or whatever? How do you look at the idea of a sustainable business, or what does that look like to you?
So one thing I've learned recently is everyone's been given different capacities. There are some people, like for me, a 50-hour work week may feel like a 30-hour work week to some other people. So I don't really think that there's like a map that I can lay down and go, you should be working 30 hours a week and doing this on Sunday with your family and doing this on Saturday mornings. I think if you would just be still enough and, like Michael Jackson, have the conversation with the man in the mirror, you're going to know whether you're burned out, frayed, rest. Like, it's pretty simple. Close your eyes and ask yourself, am I rested? Do I have some joy? Or am I depleted, tired, worn out, pissed off all the time? It's pretty easy to know that. And I just don't think we get bird's eye above our business long enough, which is why I talk about these magic metrics, magic whatever you want to call them. Because if you don't know the things that actually lead to the transactions, then you're just going to spend your day. You're going to get up. Your phone is going to be your alarm. You're going to check your email in bed. You're going to look at your Instagram feed in bed. You're going to take the kids to school. You're probably not going to lead generate or connect with people. You're going to put out a fire because an inspection had a bad roof. Then you're going to go show a few sets of buyers, scarf down fast food dinner, turn on Jimmy Fallon, and ask, how did I get here?
Wow.
And so people do that for 10 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Did he just
And
quote
then
your
you-
day?
He
Yeah,
literally,
he just
I'm
did.
like, wow, yesterday
all of
was
us, right?
very, wow,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
You're a mind reader. How'd you
And then
know?
You're like, what was that?
Yeah.
I remember moments years ago in my business where I would get home and I would go, I can't even recall what happened today.
Yeah.
I just know
Yeah.
that I was on. And there's a little bit of it that the ego loves.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm busy.
Right.
I'm running and gunning and
Yeah.
delivering stuff, and I'm busy.
Look how much I
But
did today.
Busy isn't necessarily effective. Busy isn't necessarily doing the right things. And so I think if everyone could just, make a note of sustainability and ask themselves, hey, if this trend continues, could I be doing this a year from today,
Yeah.
5 years from today, 10 years from today?
Yeah.
Mine blew up physically with adrenal fatigue and everything else that I was doing, but I thought it was what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And so some of us get to that point and you have to learn that lesson. But there's, if people are new in the business, please learn from my foolish ways and know that there's really, really few things that need to be done every day. And if you'll just commit yourself to those, you will be running laps around the competition. And what happens is you move from a business that's chasing business to a business that's attracting business. And that is the cosmic shift. You're no longer a salesperson. You're just the person that's been entrusted some lives in whatever community you live in. And it's way more sustainable and enjoyable and predictable. So I can't harp on sustainability enough because I think it's overlooked a lot.
Yeah.
I've been getting a series of emails lately from a local lender.
Yeah.
And their tagline is it comes out every Friday. And
Yeah.
their big tagline that they put on like the big font in the beginning of the email is I'm working this weekend.
Yes, I'm getting those emails
Yeah,
too.
I'm like,
I'm working this
oh,
weekend.
No,
Right?
that's not good.
What's funny is I recently got an email like that from a lender that I was really struggling to get a hold of.
Stop it.
And they're like, I'm working this weekend. I'm like, well, maybe that's why I can't get you this week. But
Oh, that's funny.
I digress. But yeah, that's true. Yeah. The sustainability is huge. And I love too, one of the things that we talked about when we look at our days and rushing around, one of the things you helped me realize is what a successful day is. And it's not that I got these buyers under contract or I signed up this listing. It's that I sowed my seeds of lead generation with the people that I've been entrusted. So those touches. So is that when you talk about like the magic metrics, is that the kind of thing you're referring to?
Yeah, it's daily. All it is connection, period. You're just showing up in people's lives, not by billboards, not by emails, like really being in people's lives. And I can't emphasize it enough on you got to be playing the long game.
Yeah.
This does not work if you're in for a week, 3 months, 6 months. Like this is like a new lifestyle, a new way of being in the business. And like for instance, the transactions that I'm doing today, one of them's a friend of mine. He was my pledge brother at Baylor University in 2002. Okay, so 16 years ago, I crossed paths with this guy. He does this, I do that, and here we show up, and we're listing his house and closing it soon. The other transaction on a condo, friends of ours, my wife taught their kids for a while. They now want to own a property in this market. I sold their house once before. Well, was that trust that was built yesterday, or was that trust that was built 16 years ago, 10 years ago? And you can go down the list and look at all of your leads. You can be like, oh, I started playing softball with that guy 10 years ago. My kids were on this guy's soccer team. And finally, you wake up to this reality that the beautiful Tony Hsieh with Zappos, he has this phrase that's called accelerate serendipity. And basically what it means is, how can you put yourself in the position daily so that these random seeds of connection and relationship can eventually be the lifeblood of your business? You will not accelerate serendipity just sitting in your office and hoping, that Lady Luck's on your side and someone walks in and wants to buy a $500,000 house. I mean, I guess that can happen. But every time I look back and I connect the dots, I'm always shocked at how long ago the trust began.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't meet at the chamber mixer last week, right? And had a really terrible cocktail. Like, this stuff is a long time ago, but you can meet and do it in different ways. And I think that that's just what we have to be doing every day.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. And like, from someone who's been practicing that now since like the fall, it just feels a lot better. Not only is it like good things are happening in my business, but like the pressure is off of me, I feel like, and all my job to do is to just stay in contact and in relationship and in connection with these people that I already love to be in connection with anyway. So it's a good feeling. Good stuff. Ashton, we could go on, and you and I will in our special relationship. But for those people who might be listening and may want to hear more from you, connect with you, where should they reach out and find you?
AshtonGustafson.com is pretty easy. If you go to iTunes, type in Ashton or Good, True, and Beautiful. That's my home. That's the best place to be. So I'll ride shotgun in the car with you for a while, and we'll see where it goes.
Love it. Ashton Gustafson, everybody! Yeah. We do want to hear from you. Email info@boomrealestatepodcast.com. Visit the YouTube, and we've got our business plan is out there for you to get your business plan together. Get it for free at boombusinessplan.com. We will see you next time on the Boom Real Estate Podcast.
Should we pretend that we had technical difficulties so we can get them for a third time?
Yeah. We'll tell him we didn't. Yeah. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.